You're at dinner, and your friend starts crying about her breakup, and before she's even finished the sentence, your hand is already moving. Napkin, water glass, the exact thing she needs before she knows she needs it. You're calm, you're steady, you say the right thing. Everyone at the table exhales a little, because you're there. And later, in the car alone, you replay it. Not what she said, what you did, whether you did enough, whether you were too much, whether anyone noticed that you never once said how your own week actually went. You don't remember deciding to be this way. You just were. Somewhere along the way, care became your native language. You are the one people call at 11 p.m. Not because you offered, because it never occurred to them to wonder if you'd mind. You know when someone's voice has changed before they know it themselves. A text that takes 4 minutes longer to answer than usual. A life that's a half-second too fast. You catch it. You always catch it. It's not a skill you practiced. It's a frequency you've been tuned to since before you could tie your shoes. You will spend an hour helping a friend untangle a problem with her mother, her boss, her marriage, and never once mention that you haven't slept properly in a week. Not because you're hiding it. It genuinely doesn't occur to you that your exhaustion belongs in the conversation too. You've been the therapist in every friendship you've ever had, the fixer in every relationship, the one who reads the room, manages the mood, softens the landing for everyone else, and somehow ends up, again and again, cast as a supporting character in a story that is supposedly about your own life. You don't ask for help, not because you don't need it, because somewhere very early, needing something out loud stopped feeling safe. In a minute, I want to tell you what this actually is, because it has a name, and it explains almost everything about how you love people. What you're describing has a name. Psychologists call it parentification, a term coined by researcher Dr. Gregory Jerkovic. It describes what happens when a child takes on the emotional caretaking role that should belong to a parent. Not chores, not responsibility in the ordinary sense. The child becomes the one who manages the household's feelings, who reads her mother's mood before breakfast to know which version of the day it's going to be. If you grew up with a narcissistic mother, this wasn't occasional. It was the operating system. Her needs, her image, her feelings, those were the fixed points the whole house orbited. Yours were negotiable. So your nervous system did something remarkably intelligent. It got very, very good at reading her, not understanding her, surviving her. Every shift in tone, every slammed cupboard, every sentence that started warm and ended sharp. You learned to detect it before it fully landed. That's not overthinking. That's hypervigilance, a nervous system trained to scan constantly for danger. Because in your house, danger came dressed as your own mother's mood. Here's the part worth sitting with. Hypervigilance and thoughtfulness look almost identical from the outside. Anticipating what someone needs before they ask reads as generous, attentive, emotionally mature. And it is those things. But underneath, for a lot of women, it's also a threat detection system. One that never got the memo that the threat is over. It's still running the same scan, ran at 7 years old, just aimed at friends and partners instead of a mother. There's a related pattern trauma researchers call the fawn response, the fourth survival strategy alongside fight, flight, and freeze. Instead of confronting danger or escaping it, you appease it. You make yourself useful, agreeable, indispensable to whoever holds the power in the room. Because if you can keep them calm, you keep yourself safe. In a child with a narcissistic parent, fawning isn't a personality trait. It's a strategy that worked. It kept the peace. It possibly kept you safe in ways you couldn't name at the time. Think of it like a smoke alarm installed in a house that had a real fire once. Even after the fire is long out, the alarm keeps going off at the smell of toast. It's not malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. It just can't tell the difference anymore between real danger and normal life. So where does a system like that actually get built? It usually starts with one very specific kind of morning. Think back to morning before school, or before you were even in school. You're small enough that you don't have language for what's happening. You just have a body that knows. You come downstairs, and before anyone says a word, you already know which mother you're getting today. The warm one, who might braid your hair and make the eggs the way you like them. Or the other one, cold, sharp-edged, ready to turn something small into evidence of how disappointing you are. So you learn to check first. You learn to read the air in a room before you speak into it. You learn that your job, quietly, unofficially, is to keep her regulated, to not be the reason today turns into the bad version. Maybe you started complimenting her before she asked. Maybe you started managing your little brother's mood so he wouldn't set hers off. Maybe you got very good, very young, at disappearing your own needs. The moment you sensed hers taking up the room, that child's logic was completely correct. In a house where love was conditional on your usefulness or your silence, staying small and useful was the safest available option. You weren't being weak. You were reading the room with total accuracy, using the only tools a child has. Over time, that scanning stopped feeling like a strategy and started feeling like just who you are. You stopped noticing you were doing it. It became the water you swim in. Every relationship since has quietly needed your management, your attunement, your care. And you've provided it automatically, the way you once provided it to a mother who was never going to provide it back. There's a cost to running that system forever, and it's worth naming honestly before we get to the part that actually helps. Here's the honest part. That hypervigilance kept you safe once. It does not need to keep running at full volume in a life that isn't dangerous anymore. The exhaustion you feel after every gathering, the way you can recall everyone else's emotional state in perfect detail, genuinely struggle to answer, how are you really? That's the bill coming due on a system that was never supposed to run this long. But here's the other truth, held at the same time. What you built was not a flaw. It was a form of intelligence most people never had to develop, because most people never needed to survive what you survived. You learned to read rooms the way some people learn languages, out of necessity, and now with real fluency. That fluency is yours. You get to decide now whether it stays pointed at everyone else or whether some of it finally turns inward toward you. You were not too much. You were the only regulator in a house that had none. And a regulator is allowed, eventually, to rest. So here's what I'll leave you with. What is the earliest memory you have of managing someone else's mood before you were even old enough to understand your own? How old were you? You don't have to explain the whole story, even just the age, even just one sentence in the comment. If this stayed with you, our next video goes even deeper. The psychology of women who were never told they were enough. Watch it next.